All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another edition of the Manufacturing E-commerce Success Series. I'm one of your co-hosts here, Damon Pistolka. We got an exciting show for us today. I'm just going to, as I do, turn it over to my friend and co-host, Curt Anderson, to take it away. Curt.
Damon, man, you know what? Like I'm like nervous today. Like I never get nervous for these.
I'm telling you.
I'm starstruck right now. So
Yeah.
This is a big, man, I've been looking forward to this for months. And like, look at the first comment, guys. If you check out the comment, we, with caps, we love you, Sam. So Sam,
Yeah.
I don't know if he needs an introduction. Sam Gupta, welcome. Happy Friday. How are you, my friend?
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Curt and Damon. It's always fun to hang out with you guys. And I am probably going to be equally nervous today because I have a lot of cheerleaders. They are almost like family. And when you are performing in front of your family, you are sort of nervous.
That's right. A lot of family members. We've got Gail, we've got Ingor, Greg, miss you. We've got Aaron, Gary Wood in Rochester's here today, Val, Kevin's in Wisconsin, my friend Gene. So we've got a great crew, as Greg says. Bring it, Sam. So guys, everybody knows LinkedIn, Sam Gupta. Let's go back a little bit in time. And my first question, ironically, Damon just hit it. So like, how ageless does Sam look? So if you guys want to guess, like put an age in the chat box of how old do you think Sam is? Because Damon, I've started lying. People lie about their age. I go the other way. I say like I'm 10, 15 years old. I'm like, man, I'm like 65. They're like, you look good for 65. Look at Sam.
Yeah.
Look at 22, 27. Guy is ageless. So,
yeah.
So bachelor's degree in engineering. You have an MBA from University of Texas. Go Longhorns, right? And I believe you have a 3.89. Not anywhere close to my 2.3, but very impressive. I like that 3.89. But share a little bit. Let's talk about your journey. You're the digital transformation expert. At least that's how we perceive you. You are the king of networking. Talk a little bit about your journey from University of Texas and how did we get here?
So I am going to get the first question out of our way first, and that is going to be about age. So that is going to be one of my gifts. We don't really age in our family after we turn 18. Okay, now I don't know whether that is going to be a gift or that is going to be a curse because sometimes when you look like 18, you don't get paid. Nobody pays you. Trust me. Okay. So, and by the way, let me see, my father is almost 85 at this point of time. If he were standing right beside me, he is going to look exactly like me. Okay, he is going to have black hairs.
Yeah, good genes, my friend. Good genes. You are looking handsome as ever. So that is awesome. So let's dig in. So post MBA, let's share a little bit. Like, was this like an early thing, man? I'm going to get into digital and software. Like, just share a little bit on your journey and how you got to where you are today.
So MBA was, very far in the career. That was the executive MBA. I was working for roughly 12 years before that in the corporate environment, doing the, consulting in the Fortune 500 work. Before that, I grew up in a very manufacturing and distribution-centric environment. So my family, the only thing we talk about, we don't play sports. We don't have any hobbies. Okay, so the only thing we do is manufacturing and distribution, and that's what we are good at. We are really terrible at anything else. Okay, so that's how we started. And, got into the Fortune 500 consulting early on in my career. I was roughly 28. That's how early I was in the Fortune 500 consulting. Did that for roughly 10, 12 years, going after every single business out there. Their problem was always, hey, I had invested $10 million, $80 million, $100 million, and I don't know if I got any benefit. That was the key point that we were always solving. So I was this, sort of the cross-functional guy who could talk to everybody in the organization for some reason. I don't know, maybe because of my family background, I knew accounting, I knew, manufacturing, distribution, business, IT, you name it. So that's why I sort of got that role in the consulting space. Then went for executive program because I was really interested in entrepreneurship from the beginning, just because of my genes, and wanted to get that rolling. So I was trying a lot of different startups. to begin with, but then, I wanted to go full on. Initially, when I wasn't sure if I could really pull off a company like ERP Consulting, to be honest, because I would be competing with companies like Deloitte and PwC and EY. And in this life, I don't think I'll be able to compete with them. So I had to figure my path out. So I started chasing a lot of different startups. So I did a lot of work in the medical device space, a lot of work in the real estate, you name it. I mean, every single industry I was trying to create the startup, failed big time, and then finally got into the Elevate IQ, which is where the ERP sort of consulting journey began. Then I realized that, what, I that was my core as in manufacturing, distribution, ERP. That's what I knew really well. So I should be focusing on my core as opposed to going to something else. And now, somewhere in 2019, I guess, or 2020, that's where WBS Rocks began, right? And you guys are going to be super curious about what is WBS Rocks, who's Sam Gupta, why he's appearing all of a sudden. So I was the best kept secret.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, nice little plug. Well, let's unpack that for a second, Sam, because I absolutely love that. And John, my friend in New Jersey, we just spoke this morning. So happy Friday, buddy. First off, I want to wish everybody it is a huge, huge day today. It is Manufacturing Day. So everybody, happy Manufacturing Day to all of our amazing, incredible manufacturers out there.
Yeah.
We'd like to say our manufacturers are truly, truly the heroes of our economy. And they just work relentlessly. They manufacture, they create, they're innovative. They're doing amazing, amazing work. So to all of our manufacturers, I know our MEPs, Mike Womack, and all of our MEP friends out there, Gina, Tabasso, everybody out there, happy Friday, happy Manufacturing Day. So what I love, Sam, is like, look at how, we talk about focusing on your strengths. And what you've done is like, man, you have just this incredible gene pool. That's not fair. I have total gene envy right now. But you have this great gene pool. You are youthful, energetic, peaceful, calming presence. And so when you're making that digital transformation, it could have been 10, 15 years ago. It was stressful then. It's stressful today. So I would assume, I'm envisioning that you just gave a very nice calming presence to any team that you were on and trying to help them make that digital transformation. And that success is translated extremely well to where you are today. You hit on WBS. So before we jump into that digital transformation, I want to talk about you are the king of networking. You are the community builder. You have a podcast. You're on Clubhouse. You have a happy hour that's in a couple hours. I know, Damon, you go to that happy hour. You have a Twitter chat. You have a Slack community. Sam, question, do you ever sleep? So now we're putting you right in a spot. How old are you? Do you ever sleep? So, I mean, like, dude, you are everywhere on LinkedIn. And you came on my radar. It was about a year ago right now. And I remember you and I connected. It was like October-ish, if I'm not mistaken. Talk a little bit on like, how did you, if you really took the bull by the horns, you are just a tenacious networker, connector. How many of us, as a matter of fact, in the chat box, please, how many connections do you have on LinkedIn thanks to Sam Gupta? Please put that number in the chat box. But Sam, share a little bit. What
a lot.
What changed in you where you're like, I'm going all in on this?
So honestly speaking, I'm just gonna continue on, what I was saying. So
yeah,
so I was really the best kept secret. Okay, and if you look at my presence digitally, honestly speaking, even though I was doing digital transformation, I was really embarrassed at who I really was. Nobody really knew about me. So that was the embarrassing awakening, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Then I was watching a lot of guys such as Curt Anderson, they were kicking the butt of everybody in the community with their digital presence. And if you look at our sort of presence, we were like, every manufacturer, every ERP company, 2-page website, one blog, wrote in 2018. I didn't have to care for anything. People were calling us. We were getting business. You know what? That was the reality of COVID-19, because after that, we didn't get any business. Okay, we were getting all of our contracts canceled, so we had to figure out how to survive. So that was the birth of WBS Rocks. Okay, so what I had to figure out is, how to translate the skills that I personally had is, how can I create this ecosystem that is going to give us the thought leadership that I was really looking for, even though I was really good at it. And obviously, once I put the podcast and everybody sort of knows me, but it's the same Sam Gupta that was 5 years ago versus today, the knowledge did not change. So yeah, so when I started the WBS Rocks journey, initially I started writing blog, to be honest. Okay, really in-depth blog. If you actually go, I have the entire journey on our website. So we wrote roughly 20, 30 blogs, started promoting on social. Then we had to figure out, how to distribute this because nobody was really reading it. Okay, so then we had to figure out, okay, what are LinkedIn influencers doing? So I was watching every single influencer out there. I have studied them very, very, very closely in terms of what they had done to be successful, to build the influence of, let's say, if anybody has 1 million follower or 2 million follower or whatever. So I was studying very, very, very closely what they were doing, what were their strengths, how they had gone to 1 million followers. So that was the exercise, and that's how we created sort of this distribution channel. Then I was analyzing all of our competitors, where they were really good at. Some competitors had really strong YouTube channels. YouTube started in roughly 2012, so we sort of missed the bus for that. So if we had started YouTube, probably we would not be as successful. But one of the things that was sort of upcoming was the podcast. We didn't have really, really good podcast for ERP and digital transformation. So we hit really hard on the podcast journey, and we didn't want to simply start the podcast. We wanted to actually build the community around it. And community could actually provide all of the referral relationship because, as you know, Curt, if ERP deal is happening in the town, everybody pretty much knows about it. Every competitor is probably going to be eating on the same dinner table. So unless you know somebody in the community, it's very, very, very hard to get those people. So that's why we have built this ecosystem, and that's my journey. It's been extremely rewarding. I would say we have done this in roughly a year. So far, it's been one of the most profitable channels. We measure every opportunity, we measure every single lead, and we have data to back it up. What I am trying to claim, and I have been very upfront. When it was not working, I told Damon, this is great. I don't get any business out of it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick to it. But today, if I look at the number of opportunities, number of leads, this thing works, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So
there's a lot to break down there.
Man.
Woo. Well, because this is the thing that I always love about talking with Sam is I'm in a similar type of industry with Eggs Your Way. It's a long-term kind of sales cycle. It's people have to get really comfortable. Like in Sam's business, the ERP is the heart of that manufacturing business, and to let somebody touch it is like, and this is, you understand this, Curt, not yet, but someone going out with your daughter. And it's just like, oh yeah, you don't want that.
Homecoming was last week, but that's another story.
Oh
God, I may have to call you, Greg. So,
but it's one of those things, that you really have to do. And I appreciate the way Sam has structured his community around helping other people and providing good lead. I mean, Sam's a fierce networker, as you said, but he's provided me tons of great leads to talk to and people. And I've been able to do it the other way as much as I can, but it's still just that showing the way that he builds relationships, curates relationships, help to be a giver of helping others that are helping to build this community. This is why we get on a platform like LinkedIn. This is why we do the things we do, because we can all grow together better than we can separately.
Yeah. And Sam, just to chime in real quick. So like when I asked how many people, Greg Mishu, many, many, many. Ingor says very many. Gal said, dropped it. I don't know if you read it. Just a wonderful, lost track, but Curt led me to Sam, who led me to Ingor, led me to Greg and Dan, but also connect me with other Twitter chat and your happy hour. So the great thing is, Sam, it's just so rewarding, refreshing being in your circle. You do everything with integrity. You are so genuine. And again, like being that fierce networker, it's not like, the sleazy sales guy. Like you genuinely care and you're trying to drive success to other people. and it just shows. Question for you. Say there's somebody out there. So a lot of our folks here are, know you, if they're new to this or new to this concept, and maybe they're on like our friend Val. Val is talking about maybe starting a podcast, or I'd like to start a new community, but I don't know where to start. Do I do Clubhouse? Do I do a happy hour? Do I do a Twitter chat? Do you have advice for someone that's starting where you were a year ago? Where do they start?
So I am actually going to pick some of the lines that you had mentioned, Curt, on your podcast when you had done with the WBS rocks. So one thing that you need to do is you need to find your ideal listener profile, and that's where most people struggle. Okay, you need to find your tribe. Just because I have built my tribe in certain way, your community may be completely different. Your community may be hanging out on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. So first, understand where your tribe is really hanging out and what do they care for. Once you understand that, then you have to figure out, okay, what are going to be my recruiting channels? Okay, in my case, I had very deep understanding of our audience, which are the people I wanted to go after. I came after Curt Anderson for a reason. Okay, I went after Damon Pistilka for a reason. Okay, because I really wanted to, because we have so much synergy. And synergy is what builds your community. If I spoke to Damon, let's say if I was doing something in real estate, Damon was like, "Come on, buddy, you are handsome. I'm going to talk to you, but it's only going to be 2 minutes because you are going to waste my time." So the synergy is really important, and these synergistic relationships are really important. And the best way to create the synergistic relationship is going to be: who are your customers? Who are you targeting? And who are these customers hanging out with? Okay, so if there is somebody already in the account, for example, the customers may be talking to accountants or lawyers or the insurance companies. Okay, those are the people that you want to talk to because they already have the pre-existing relationship and the trust. In my case, I was a new guy. Who needs Sam Gupta? Nobody. Okay. So if I were to create a trust, I need to number one sign the deal. I need to spend 5 years with them, and then you have that trust going on. When you have this referral relationship, when you come openly, then everybody sort of starts trusting you because they understand your expertise, they understand your positioning. I'm not the guy who's selling ERP one day, CRM the other day, or maybe SEO the other day, and then one day I'm selling fish as well. So that's the positioning and the integrity, right, in the market, that your customers have very hard-earned money and how you are going to care for it. And that is something, unless you have the integrity and the expertise on something, you will not be able to care for. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah.
And I think Greg Mishu summed up. Took the words out, took the letters out of my mouth there, Greg. You are the king. You're such a go-giver. You're a selfless leader. You do an amazing job. And again, like when you look at your schedule, Twitter, you do e-commerce panels on Wednesdays. You are everywhere and bringing in other subject matter experts. I know, again, a lot of our friends on here, the folks at Gen Alpha. You're friends with David Manti, Manufacturing.net, Aaron, and the team at Earthland Interactive. So you are aligning yourself with other folks who are subject matter experts, folks of integrity, and really driving that shift to, so then when somebody does need ERP, who's front of mind, right?
Yeah.
And you've already earned that trust. So let's dig in. Okay, so awesome job. I love the answer. Phenomenal answer.
And I'll just say one thing, that if people didn't understand what Sam was talking about here, I think this is really relevant for people to know. Because he mentioned a little detail in here. Your ideal customer may not be on a LinkedIn platform or an Instagram or something like that, but the people that are trusted advisors to that customer might be. And Sam, like myself, we often work through trusted advisors because of that relationship, because of the fact that a referral is so much better. So people that are listening really need to understand that, because it's as Greg just said, it's about the referral, because building that relationship with them and then working in a client or two with them so they can see that relationship and how you work with people and even better understand it. that's what you do. But building your tribe around those trusted advisors so that you can give a more complete solution to your end customers. Because if you're working with all the end customers and they've got an ERP need and Sam can help them, well, then maybe Greg Mishu can help them. Maybe Gail could help. Maybe all these other people that we know in our community that are working with the same kind of clients can help. We can be a solution provider for that, not just in what we do, but around the clock for them.
Yeah, all of us collectively. I love that. So I know. So phenomenal job. Thank you. And again, for sharing a little bit of, you are the master, little secret sauce there, and how you've made your own digital transformation as far as building that community. Kudos to you, standing ovation. And again, let's pause for 1 second. Everybody give a little virtual applause to Sam. Sam, thank you. Thank you for what you do for our communities. Thank you for what you do as far as connecting. And I'm looking at every name on here. I know Val, you made a comment. Every one of us have connections thanks to you. And so our hats off. We praise you. We appreciate you. God bless you. So let's get into that's your superpower, building communities. You are also a digital transformation expert. Let's dig into let's talk about your day job, that Clark Kent side of you. Talk about how you walk into a company and manufacturer. I'm daunted. I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know what ERP is or what it stands for. How do you help manufacturers and make that process nice and smooth?
Yeah, so there are going to be many different engagements that we typically consider. So the typical scenario is going to be either they are considering an ERP e-commerce platform or the entire architecture. So our specialty is going to be really not just the ERP, even though I like to position myself as ERP, because if it is not going to have ERP components, then probably I don't know if you want to touch that, to be honest. Okay. So ERP is the center point, but typically our role is going to be to define the entire architecture, and that is the expertise that I don't think anybody has in the world, at least as far as I know. Okay, because that requires some much deeper expertise in aligning different systems. For example, how e-commerce system is going to talk to your ERP, how your your PLM system is going to talk to ERP, depending upon what kind of e-commerce shop you are. In some cases, let's say if you are going to be the e-commerce shop that is going to be slightly more consumerized product, right? They are going to have very different business processes because they might have very crowded warehouse. And they may require very specialized system inside the warehouse. Now, if you look at slightly more, the engineer to order or make to order kind of manufacturing shops, their warehouses are not going to be as crowded. They are going to require far more expertise on the shop floor. So, depending upon what the business model is, we try to select the entire architecture. We like to define the processes first, because that is going to be the biggest problem for most businesses. They don't understand their own business. The second case is going to be that even if they understand their business, they don't know how to ERP-ize it. Okay, and there is a term for it. And then when you say ERP-ize, when you start as a startup, you are going to say, hey, I'm getting the sales order, I'm getting the purchase order. Hey, you know what? This is how the business is supposed to work. You developer, you go and code. When you start, you don't really understand how business is supposed to work. And that's what is the process called ERP-izing the business. And that's what makes you ready for scale. Unless you transform your business processes the way the ERP community is built. Okay, and the reason for that is because it has been done for the last 60 years. ERP was the first system that was ever built. Okay, when you talk about the computerized system. So ERP has been there for a very long time. It understands all of the best practices of how the accounting is supposed to be done, how the business is supposed to be done, how the commerce trade is supposed to be done, and it accommodates the needs of all of those business models. When you try to create something of your unique, then what you are going to do is you are going to over-engineer the system, you are going to over-engineer the process, and then that is going to become your bottleneck. So typically, from our perspective, we like to simplify the business first before we install anything. That's going to be the first thing. You need to simplify your architecture on a piece of paper before you go and touch any technology, any system out there. Nobody builds the house before they print the house on a piece of paper. So why would you treat software any differently?
Yeah.
And by the way, if you talk about manufacturing has probably 40 sub-assemblies, maybe 200 sub-assemblies. If you talk about an enterprise software, that is probably going to have 10,000 sub-assemblies. That's how complex is an enterprise architecture and enterprise software is. So typically, our goal is going to be to, number one, simplify, align the architecture, select the right system, help them implement, so we can take the entire process. Sometimes businesses don't understand how critical this could get. Okay, they get in trouble. When they get in trouble, they call us. Okay, the trouble could be, as big as, hey, my vendor is not taking my call, and I am not able to process my sales order. I am not able to get my invoice. And why is that? Because the vendor actually went bankrupt because you signed a vendor that you did not understand whether they had the financial positioning in the market or not, or it could be because they were utilizing a component that they did not have control over. So the other vendor actually went bankrupt. So this is the sub-assembly scenario, guys, in the manufacturing situation. Okay, if one component is going to go down, then your entire supply chain is going to break. You are not going to have the finished good. So what do? You cannot run your business. So then you will call us, and then we'll fix the architecture. That's going to be far more expensive than defining it on a piece of paper from scratch. So I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah,
that was a lot right there. That was a lot right there, because you cover the really, really critical thing I see in businesses that they don't do when they're considering the ERP or an upgrade or whatever they're doing is the value stream of that data, how it's going to flow through the system, and how everything's going to interact. And it is complex, as you said, because there's so much now when you consider CRM systems, you consider shop floor data collection systems, you've all the things that sometimes tie into this. And then you think about outside people submitting orders through EDI or FTP or however the heck they're going to do it. There's just a lot of things that have to be considered in this. And very, very few companies have the technical expertise that you're talking about, that you provide, to be able to go from end to end and go, okay, here's some considerations that you should do, because they're relying then on the software supplier to help them implement things. And yes, they always get too technical, and they try to bite off too much before just making sure, can we, as you said, can I put an order in and can I invoice it, even if the middle is not so great? And I've had clients over the years that honestly, in an implementation of something like a Microsoft Dynamics in a bigger platform, they have not been able to invoice for a month or more on a $50 million company. I mean, this is not little dollars. So you really need the ERP system planning ahead of time that you're talking about, Sam, is so much less expensive and so beneficial to do.
So Sam, all right, so that is everybody's mind blown right now, or what? This is so good. All right, so Sam, let's don't take your foot off the pedal. Let's get even it's Friday afternoon here on the East Coast. Let's get going even further. Okay, do your clients, are they always in trouble? Like, are you the fixer? Are you the doctor on the spot? Like, do you have folks that come into you proactively? Like, describe kind of your engagement. Like, how does that work?
So no, I mean, I would not say that everybody is in trouble, but they don't know how big trouble they might be in at this point of time. That's the biggest problem.
So that's even scary. They might be, the iceberg is down below, right?
Exactly. So I'll give you a story, a real life story, okay, that we are doing at this point of time. Okay. So when we got a call at that time, this is the similar, Microsoft implementation. And again, I don't like to call any vendor. Every ERP is great. Every system is great. Every vendor is great. The problem always is going to be in your implementation, the way you have utilized in your environment. Okay. So here, the customer knew that, they had bought a Microsoft Dynamics ERP. That is the only thing that they knew. For them, it was just a black box, that this ERP, some sort of black box that does, voodoo magic. And it actually, when you place a sales order, it sort of splits the invoice. It sort of, prints your financial statement. That's all they knew. Okay, they didn't understand what was the support model. They had a bunch of guys that they used to call when they had to sort of call them. Obviously, they are slightly more distribution business, and it was a very tricky business, to be honest, because we are talking about slightly more regulated business. And typically, the more regulated your business is going to be, the more challenges you are going to get. So they invited us. Okay, the vendor is not really supporting us as good as we would like, and we would like your help if you could provide any sort of development or technical expertise. And then we sort of started, the peeling out the onion right there, in terms of what they really had. So one of the things that we discovered is one of the component that they had utilized it on top of Dynamics, nobody had any control over it. Not even Microsoft, even though it's sitting on the Microsoft product. Okay, when we call the Microsoft pulled the plug. That's not our deal, brother. Even though you are utilizing Microsoft, you knew that you are using Microsoft. That's not our deal. Okay, you are utilizing a third-party component. Go for them. Now we asked them. Okay, we are more than happy to fix. Can you at least provide the code? Any technical component, any software component is going to have a bunch of logic that you need to debug and fix to be able to provide whatever formula you're trying to build. That's the software. So when you have the product, you are not going to get access to the code. Now, you would not know that unless you dig into the contracts. The truth lies in the contracts. So you need to know how to read these contracts. And we have seen companies going down just because of a software implementation or the ERP implementation, just because they did not understand how to read the ERP contract. By the way, in this particular engagement, they have already invested roughly $2 million. Already, can you believe this? And this is a mid-sized company. $2 million, guys, on Microsoft Business Central. That's a very small product. Okay, it's not very big. $2 million. We are most likely going to go to court. By the way, ERP deals do end up in courts, because when you buy a product that is not going to work for the business, whose fault it is? Client has paid $2 million, so somebody should be suffering, right? It's client's hard-earned money.
Yeah.
So it ends up in really, really, really ugly situations. So I am known as one of the expert witness who is trusted for his advice. If I write on a piece of paper, then people sort of believe that. Okay, so I am known as one of the ERP technical sort of functional expert. So if I say that, the vendor is going to be on fault, then we are going to do the discovery in terms of what the vendor has done, and then we are going to come up with the agreement. If this was was it a breach of contract? Was it something else? So depending upon how the overarching architecture was and whatever happened. Right now, by the way, the client who's suffering, okay, they have to restart their implementation. They have to buy a new ERP system. So after spending $2 million, they are running on that system and they have no clue what is going to happen to the business.
Oh no.
Okay, because now if I actually do a press release right now and we go to court, obviously the vendor is not going to support. That's how businesses work. Now, if they don't support, how do you cut the sales order? You don't even have access to code. You don't have access to data. So what do?
Yeah.
So it gets really, really interesting and exciting. Okay. So if you think that, I am always present on LinkedIn, my life is far harder in the background. Because
dude, like, you hear of forensic accounting and, like, who knew you needed this whole dynamic and ERP? Wow. Who knew? This is, wow, what a fascinating story. Sam, I'm all right. I'm like, you left me speechless. How often am I speechless, Damon? Not very often. Let's back. So we could talk about this all. Where we at? I lost total track of time. I'm like just captivated with the story. I don't want to smelling salts for Curt. You might call 911, Damon.
There we go.
Yeah. All right, Sam. A lot of our clients, a lot of folks like Gene is with the Small Business Development Center. Like we have folks that are with smaller manufacturers that have, that wouldn't have that type of budget or capacity for an ERP system. Let's talk like for a smaller manufacturer. Okay. Let's take like a 20, 30 person custom manufacturer. Maybe they're still, old school. They want to make that transition. What are some tips and advice you would have for making that smooth transition for like someone that's brand new to this thing? It's overwhelming. How do you help reduce that overwhelm and help them embrace it?
Yeah, so my advice always is going to be, as I said, you don't build the house unless you can build the house on a piece of paper. Okay, So that's how you build the house, and that's how you build the ERP system. And by the way, in case of an ERP system, most people just think that you are going to get just one system and that is going to do everything. That's not how it works. A business, whether you are talking about e-commerce business or manufacturing e-commerce or any other e-commerce business, typically what you are going to need is you are going to need at least 4 or 5 systems that is going to be part of your community plumbing. Okay, when I say community plumbing, meaning if you are doing something in your room, I don't really care. Okay, if you have a plumbing in your room, I don't really care. But when the plumbing is going to be connected with the enterprise bus, that's where you need to call me, and you need to make sure that you are getting the sign off from the city before you install anything. So that's what is an ERP. So let's say if you're using a siloed system that is sitting somewhere in the corner, you're doing throwaway analytics, nobody cares for it. Okay, maybe the analytics is going to be used in the enterprise system. That's not as critical. Okay, that's an easy software to buy. You can buy it. I'm never going to be mad at you. But if you are going to be connected with the main supply, with the community supply, with the city plumbing, then I am going to be asking every single question. And typically, when you talk about any of the e-commerce business, the main plumbing, if you think about it, are going to be your e-commerce system. If you're doing any sort of transactions from your e-commerce site, the next thing is going to be obviously your ERP system, because you need some sort of operational system, some sort of your accounting system, the system of record. You might do some planning, which is again important, but it's not as important as your transactional system. Okay, then you are going to have some sort of WMS system if your warehouse is going to be complex. Okay, so that's how we typically sort of go about the planning the architecture. So the best recommendation that I can have for any mid-market company is really design your architecture on a piece of paper and consult with somebody who understands how to read these contracts. You can really save yourself. Trust me. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to identify the roles and responsibilities of each system. You need to identify the support model of each of the systems. You need to understand the legal implications of each of those systems. You need to understand how the transaction, each of the sales orders that you are going to have, how it is going to flow from your system 1 to system 2 to system 3 to system 4 to system 5. And if you don't have that understanding on a piece of paper, most likely, the systems might work, but you might not know how big the risk you are sitting on in a business.
Right. Dr. Gupta is in the house, guys. So Professor Gupta. And Sam, and you're probably a lot cheaper than an attorney or my insurance policy, right? So, I mean, dude, you're really scared. Like, you're freaking me out right now. So, like, okay, so there's a lot to cover there. So what we're hearing, so the takeaway for folks today is we wind down. What we want to do is we're gonna wrap up here in a minute, because I know folks are just burning, dying to talk to you at the tables afterwards. That's how our program works. Do you provide checklists? You have, like, I know you have a wealth of information on your website, 161 podcasts, dude. I believe I saw 161.
Boom.
Congratulations. So you have a wealth of information to help educate, teach, guide. You are the Sherpa, you're the guide, you're that trusted resource to help prevent a lot of these nightmares that you're describing, right? How, when somebody reaches out to you, and I understand, like, going through, persona, all these things, like, how do they find you on LinkedIn, they find you on your website? What are some of the first steps that you're going to say, in that conversation to, like, put their mind at ease, like, with some of this legal challenges that they might face?
Yeah. So the first step is always going to be just doing the discovery to make sure that they are at a stage where they can really, go through this path. So our goal always is going to be to maneuver them in the right direction. For example, let's say if you are going to be a really small business, $1 to $5 million, you want to buy the systems that you really have sort of the paycheck to be able to support, to be honest. And our goal is always going to be, hey, this is where you are, and these are the right systems for you.
And I'm sorry, is that where you start with budget? Like, as you're talking to that client, as you're digging into, like, when you do your discovery process, are you trying to discover, like, where are they at sales wise, budget wise? What's a good fit for them? Are you already thinking, like, what type of system might work for them?
So typically, there's going to be much deeper checklist that we need to go through. It's not going to be just budget. It's also going to be how complex you are from the business perspective. How many entities do you have? What kind of business processes do you have? What kind of products you are producing? What kind of underlying systems do you have? What kind of integration you are going to require? So the best checklist that I can give you is going to be the podcast. 160 episodes. Okay, listen to them like a Bible. and probably you will create a checklist. There are millions of checklists online, but the majority of the time when people use the checklist, they end up in the situations that I am trying to describe.
Gosh, I went on NetSuite like in 2006. It was like early for NetSuite, and like now you're like totally freaking out. Like I'm like, man, how naive I was going into that whole process. So like, man, I wish I would have known you back then, Sam. So anyway, Damon, what do we got, dude? Like we're coming into time. I'm like,
no, I'm just listening. I'm just listening right now because he really has exposed a lot of bare nerves that people don't even understand. They risks they really have because that whole, and I've seen it in companies I've come into and others I've worked with. It's like the ERP system kind of is in this black box over in the corner that no one really thinks about until something quits working or something like that, or they're going to upgrade because it doesn't work anymore. Right. And then they go, okay, let's go out and find a vendor. And they'll do like a Dynamics. They'll go, okay, we're going to use Microsoft. They have no idea what that entails and the connections between everything and all the, just the work. And I've come in on the backside of failed implementations after 2 years. And I'm not talking about a complete them. I'm just talking about trying to upgrade from version 1.0 to 2.0 kind of things. These things in a company that has multi-site, lots of users, lots of departments and different systems. It is such a nightmare if you don't go back to what Sam said and understand that architecture and understand, okay, these are the 3 things we're going to connect. We don't want to connect these other 3 things because that's just going to add a level of complexity and problems we don't. And let's get our business running and really understand how this is going to go forward with this. It's just, he's uncovering so much good stuff.
And just one quick comment, guys. A lot of people talk about, they want to do AI, they want to do machine learning, they want to do robotics, in there. Guys, that's all not possible unless you learn how to produce the instructions. Okay, robot is just a machine that requires instructions, and those instructions are going to be produced by your operating system, and which is going to be the glue of your ERP e-commerce system, because that's where your orders are coming from. So it's easy to talk about these fancy technologies, but if you don't understand how to build the foundation, it's going to be very, very, very weak house, and you are going to see the cracks on the top of your house, and you are going to complain that technology doesn't work. So so learn and really understand deeply in your business processes and the system. And once you have deeper understanding and how to work with the ERP companies, I guess, then the life is going to be slightly easier.
Yeah.
You can't run before you crawl. That's how. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, gosh, Sam, man, I am like just blown. Like I'm usually not like this, David. Like I am blown away. I had super, super high expectations, and you still crushed them. Wow. Okay, guys, let's do this. Let's wrap up. We're 1:15. I want to get back to the table so you guys can connect with Sam. So, Sam, first off, again, thank you. I feel comfortable speaking for everybody on the call today, anybody on LinkedIn Live. Thank you for your relentless passion, your selfless leadership, just that go-giving attitude. You're just a breath of fresh air. You're just such a great resource for all of us. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. And thank you for just sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your expertise. This was just beyond awesome. Damon, let's take it away, brother. I'm going to drop in the chat. Hey, we have e-commerce training coming up this week, Damon.
Yeah.
Shameless plug, man. We got a little article, and with our friend David Manti put an article out at manufacturing.net. I know, Sam, you're always seems like every week.
Yeah.
Got an article going out in manufacturing.net. So, guys, I dropped the article in the chat box. Check out our e-commerce training next week. Guys, happy Manufacturing Day. Keep crushing it. Happy Friday. Damon, take it away, brother.
Yeah, thanks so much, Curt. Sam, thanks so much for being here. Awesome talking to you all the time. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. And great to uncover these things, because oftentimes there's not oftentimes when we get to expose something like this that people don't even realize is happening around them. and it's really, it helps these businesses understand a little better, and maybe take that first step to go out and contact someone like you to really help them get this, because it can be a huge money pit if they don't. So we're going to shut down here on LinkedIn Live, and we're going to go back to the tables. And I just want to make sure, if you're listening on LinkedIn Live, you can join us here on Remo. Just check out my posts during the week, and I'll have links in here. You can get on Remo and you can talk to our speakers. Or if you want to watch on LinkedIn Live, go ahead and do that. But we're here every Friday at this time, or pretty much every Friday. We've got a little manufacturing month special coming up next week. We're going to talk about more in the coming week, but just join us here on LinkedIn Live and we'll have some fun. So thanks for joining us there.